Broadcasting from New York City to the world, it's the G-Man Interviews.
Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It stops today.
This guy right here is forcibly trying to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody standing there, they told you I didn't do nothing. I didn't sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me until I sell a cigarette. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time, please just leave me alone. Please, don't touch me. Don't touch me, please.
Hold on.
Listen, don't touch me, please.
Came over.
Do not touch me.
Damn, man. All right, stop. Put your hand behind you.
I can't breathe.
Welcome. In a previous episode, Deputy Inspector Corey Pegues offered his assessment of the New York City Police Department's policies and procedures when dealing with communities of color. In addition, the decorated police veteran shared his thoughts on the Eric Garner and Michael Brown cases and the current state of policing in America. Many watched and continue to watch the controversial episode, but one person watched with a greater sense of outrage and sorrow than anyone else in the country and abroad, and she is my guest for this very special edition of the G-Man Interviews. Ellisha Flagg Garner is the sister of Eric Garner, who died after several NYPD officers attempted to arrest him for allegedly selling illegal cigarettes on a Staten Island street. She is here on behalf of her mother and other family members and intends to set the record straight about her brother's character and a number of broadcast and published news reports regarding his death. She'll also discuss how many of the mainstream news outlets have acted abominably in their attempt to obtain exclusives, the remarks of Patrolmen's Benevolent Association President Patrick Lynch, the global reaction to her brother's death, and what her family is doing to uphold his legacy and obtain justice. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I imagine you and other family members are still having an extremely difficult time processing what happened, so I greatly appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Thank you.
Many in America and around the world are still asking one very important question in regards to your brother, and I'd like you to take this opportunity to try and answer it. What type of man was Eric Garner?
Well, that's easy. He was a gentle giant, for starters, as they called him. Definitely a family man. Where we come from and how we was raised, Eric didn't know nothing else but to take care of his family. And from when we was young, growing up, we had a lot of good times. And to see him come from being sick as a child to be able to reach the age that he did, my mom, she used to always talk about, how she was in the hospital a lot with him, but then he managed to break through, his asthma and how bad it was. So, he's a very high spirit person, always enjoying life, love family time. And, he was just everything to us. It's nothing really, at all bad that I could say about him.
Speaking of that, there was much made in the press about the fact that he had been arrested, I think something like 30-something times.
Yeah.
How did your family react to that?
Well, truth be told, as a youth, growing up where we grew up, it's a lot of things that take place as far as peer pressure because, we wasn't rich, but we wasn't poor. And sometimes you just get caught up with certain people in the streets. Things that he did, he didn't have to do it. He chose to do it, following behind the wrong set of people at times. He's a high school graduate, also a college graduate. And my mother always made sure to stay on the right path. But, when people get grown and start doing their own thing and, it's like, what can you do? A mother done raised her child the best way that she could. She made sure he made it through school the way he was supposed to. But once as he got, to adulthood, he made his own decisions and As far as him being arrested, he never got arrested for murder or drugs or guns. It was just for selling things like cigarettes. So, it was really simple. So they try to make it seem what it's really not. And if it was that bad, I'm pretty sure they would have brought that up. But as you can see, all they could keep saying is he been arrested 30 something times, but they never said what for. And so they try to throw things out there to make people look bad. But if you're gonna make somebody look bad, make them look bad in the right way. Know what you're talking about before you talk about it. Because if it was murder, drugs, guns, or whatever, they would have put it out there. So they know it was for something real simple and small. So that's why they didn't make a big deal of it. They tried to, but they really couldn't.
How is your family helping his 6 children deal with the tragic circumstances surrounding their father's death?
Well, just being there for them as always. We've always been a tight unit, so it's like it's nothing new that we do. With Eric here and not here, we've always been together. We do family functions on a regular basis, and a lot of things that come up, birthdays, holidays, just regular days. We'll take turns at each other's house on a weekend. So it's like a regular thing. With family still being here, that's what helps them. With his son being in college, it's sad to say, right before he passed away, a couple of weeks, he just went up to the college in Essex County to sign his son up on a basketball scholarship. So he's a proud father as well, put his children through school, and he made sure that they always was okay. So they're gonna miss him for that as well. And I'm proud of my nephew. I was actually talking to him on the phone today, and he said, "Auntie, I need some food." So I said, "Okay, not a problem," because I always go and make sure he's okay. I call him, make sure he's all right. If I have to send him some money, or my mother, she'll go shopping and she'll bring groceries for him. His mother, same thing. So we all pitch in. We all pitch in and do a lot for them. His daughters is grown, so they more do for themselves. But it's the 2 boys. That's the youngest, so they need more, guidance at this point in time.
Support.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shortly after your brother died and the video of his killing was posted on the internet, many analysts, commentators, and news outlets gave different accounts of what actually happened during the altercation with police. What have you learned as a result of the family's investigation?
What I've learned, you just can't listen to everybody. You can't believe what everybody say, because I've read a lot of blogs, and even though I felt that I shouldn't read it because it can make you very, very upset, because these people didn't know him. We knew him, and they had a lot of bad things to say about him. And things like that would drive you crazy if you feel that somebody is really saying something real negative about your family member. Because back in the days, even when you're in school and people say, "Oh, your mother," and you get mad and be ready to flare up. But my mother always told us, you can't get mad. They don't know you. They don't know me. So I don't care what they say about me. So I had to use that frame of mind of what my mom said, and don't listen to what these people say. We knew who he was. We know what he was really all about. And if they want to knock him for trying to support his family by selling a cigarette or two, then that's on them. But if he wasn't trying to support his family, then that'll be another story.
Deputy Inspector Corey Pegues, who, for the sake of full disclosure, now serves as a consultant for your family. He appeared on the show in August, and I asked him what would justify the use of the submission technique used by Officer Daniel Pantaleo. He said, very directly and strongly, that there was no justification. He continued by stating the NYPD guidelines are extremely clear, and stating that type of hold cannot be used.
Yes.
That said, what is your reaction to the fact that nearly 3 months have passed and no charges have been filed against Officer Pantaleo, especially in the wake of the medical examiner's ruling?
Once again, reading the papers and everything, and seeing what a lot of the politicians and, people who's more into the case have to say, we have already been told straight off the back that it wouldn't be a fair case because of the simple fact of where it is in Staten Island. My family and I have been at the federal building every Tuesday and Thursday trying to get the feds to take the case. But the feds stated to us that if it doesn't go the way that they feel it should go, and if they're not satisfied with the findings and the verdict, that, they'll be willing to snatch the case. So, we're kind of satisfied with that, but you never know which way it's going to go in the grand jury at this point in time. I'm looking at evidence over and over again, but I don't understand, how much evidence that you need to see is plain and clear. It's on video exactly what happened. And then they subpoenaed a lot of people that was out there to come in and tell their side of the story, the witnesses, to tell what happened. So if you have all these witnesses and you have video, how long does it really have to take to charge somebody? If it was in another borough, more than likely, like other police officers said, lawyers, judges, stated that the officer would have already been arrested. But being that this is Staten Island, it's a white neighborhood, and I hate to put race in it. Racism, basically should have went out the window a long time ago. And this is a human life we're talking about, because if it was one of their family members, they would want to seek justice as well. And the officer, he did wrong. And with him trying to reach out to my mother and apologize to her, and one of the news guys called my mom and told her that the officer would like to apologize and that he's sorry and what can he do to help her. And she said, if you could bring my son back, then we could talk about something, but you can't bring my son back. There's nothing to talk about. Just take responsibility for what you've done. And basically that's what we want him to do. We want him to take responsibility for what he's done, and we just want them to do the right thing as far as this case, because like I said, if it was one of their family members, they would want to seek justice and for somebody to be held accountable.
NYPD Patrolmen's Benevolent Association President Patrick Lynch held a press conference shortly after the medical examiner ruled your brother's death as a homicide. Lynch denounced the ruling, vehemently defended the officers involved in the case, and stated that Mr. Garner would still be alive today had he simply cooperated with the officers. He went on to say that your brother didn't die from a chokehold and that he had underlying medical conditions that may have contributed to his death. Is there anything you'd like to ask or say to the PPA president?
Well, it doesn't matter what his medical condition was, because before they put their hands on him, he was fine. He was quite fine. He was talking, he was standing, he was breathing, and he didn't have no problems until they decided to, rough him up and jump all over him. And knowing a big person that he is, a lot of big people can't sleep on their stomachs. A lot of them sleep on their backs because of the pressure of their stomach, that, their lungs, it got a lot to do with their lungs. So not only was his lungs basically crushed, his windpipe was basically held to the point where he was suffocating for air. And if you will look at the video, you will see him lying there and his eyes is wide open and his mouth is open. It looked like somebody suffocated him with a pillow. So basically he was suffocated. So I don't know what Lynch was looking at, but at the same time, Lynch is just doing his job. He has to protect his people and he has to stand for them, just like we have to stand for Eric. Just like he's standing for them, we standing for Eric. So everybody has a job to do. So he's doing his job, we're doing our job. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty sure deep down inside, Lynch know that the chokehold caused his death. But he has to stand his grounds with his people. So
a little over a week ago, the New York Post reported that a commanding officer in the NYPD played a role in having a broken headlight on your mother's car repaired because he feared the wrath of the Reverend Al Sharpton, who serves as a spokesperson for your family. At the time, you said your family chose to ignore the story because it was typical of the Post.
Right.
Do you maintain that position, or is there something you'd like to say regarding the Post report?
Well, the Post is the Post. We hear so many negative things about the Post. And, the Post has a bad reputation of saying things about people that's not true. Where they got their story from, I don't know. Where they got their information from, I don't know. But my family, we're not entertaining it. We're not entertaining it at all because, like the chief said, Chief Delatorre, he said, we know what happened. We know what took place, and we're not worried about what other people have to say. Chief Delatorre also stated that if it's a crime to help a fellow citizen, not only is she a citizen, she's a resident of Staten Island, and at the same time, my mother's a train operator, so she's also a city worker. She's also one of them. So, to help out one of their own, it should not be a problem. So we're not entertaining that situation right there. We're not going to entertain their nonsense because it's like they want us to lash out. They want to see a bad side to us because it seems as things are really going well. But at the same time, we still have a long way to go. We can't get excited with something that we're not too sure about. So they're trying to bring something out of us that they're not going to get.
You also mentioned that many of the mainstream news organizations have acted like vultures in their attempt to gain exclusives, and you cited an incident that occurred at your brother's funeral as an example. Could you explain?
The media sometimes could be overbearing. They don't give you enough room to breathe. I don't see how celebrities really deal with this type of stuff. I mean, some people love it, some people hate it. I personally don't like it because, I mean, you want to get your story out there. You want people to see and hear what's going on, but at the same time, you got to know when to fall back because the family is grieving. We still trying to process all of this, and it's hard. So when you got a bunch of people running up to you with cameras in your face and microphones to your mouth and, trying to ask you 1,001 questions that truthfully you really can't answer right now. You still asking questions yourself about the situation. So, it gets quite annoying. I mean,
And this happened at the funeral.
well, the funeral, they was a little bit more at ease, but they came to a lot of other people because we had a lot of security around us that didn't allow them to rush us at the funeral. But when we be at the National Action Network, they're waiting on the side of the building, cameramen knocking each other over just to get a picture and a word or two. And I feel like that's crazy. I feel that, they should ask and see if we feel like talking or if we feel like making a statement. So with them carrying on the way that they carry on just to get the exclusive, they have to just take it easy with people sometimes because you don't know what they're going through. And then if people start lashing out on them, then you're the bad guy. You got to give people room to breathe and to think, what they're going through at this point in time. So, the media just have to know their place.
Are you surprised at the level of public outrage over your brother's death has gone global?
Yeah, yeah. I would have never in a million years think that it would be like this. I said if Eric wasn't making a lot of noise then, he's making a lot of noise right now. It's a great feeling because of the simple fact that a lot of things go on that nobody knows about. And for the young fella Ramsey to actually catch it on video.
Ramsey Orta.
Yeah, it was a wonderful thing because it let the world see, not the state, not the city, but the world. And let the world see exactly what's actually going on in America. Because people feel that there's only a lot of bad things that's going on outside of America, but here in America, there's a lot of, nonsense that's going on as well. Racism still exists. Some people feel it don't, but it does. Because Facebook and other websites, they was comparing white people to black people. And then they had whites on one side that was captured for murdering 4 people, murdering their mothers, murdering, friends, so on and so forth. And all they did was get captured and did some time. But on the other side, they had black people who, some of them didn't murder no one and has brutally been murdered, especially by law enforcement. And 9 times out of 10, the law enforcement officers are white that's doing this to black people. Sean Bell, Michael Griffith, Yusef Hawkins. I mean, being young, and I marched with the crowd of Yusef Hawkins and Michael Griffin. I was very young. I had to be about 11, 12 years old. But this is what was going on around me then. And so I tell everybody that I'm not new to this. I've seen it before. It happened around me before. And I've marched with these people's family. I've been to their funerals. So it's nothing new. But now that it has happened to me, it makes me want to just go in a little harder and just put it out there like basically this has to stop. This has been going on for too long. And we've been saying that for a long time. But now that we have proof, now hopefully something can be done about it. Like their own people. It felt good to see the white people come out and be with us and understand that, okay, enough is enough. They seeing what their own people is doing to us. And you got some good-hearted white people out there. I mean, in the march, it was so many different race, color, creeds. It was just so overwhelmingly nice. And I don't think it ever been a march like that. Eric just made this really, really big. And he brought a lot of people together that day because it's not only us that's getting hurt, it's a lot of them that's being hurt as well. So everybody was there to get their story across, get their point across, and to show that we can be a unit. And we marched in peace. It was no fuss, no fight, no arrest. And we showed them, you know what I'm saying? We know how to be human when everybody is together.
And just to clarify for the audience, the Yusef Hawking case and the Michael Griffith case,
Yes.
that was not police related. Those
No.
they were attacked by groups of white youth.
Right. So that's where I was getting at with it, a white group. But basically at the end of the day, white police officers was on their side. So that's where I'm getting at with that. Basically racism is just, still existing out here, and these people is like kind of trying to do whatever they want to us. But our people just have to know that all we got to do is stick together, be together, and we can have just as much power as they have. We're the majorities. But back in the day, if people read their history, they'll really understand where we come from. And maybe if they do that, it'll give them confidence to pull strong and back to where we used to be.
You and other family members recently traveled to Washington, D.C. to meet with legislators. Are you at liberty to discuss what the meeting was about?
I don't know exactly what was said in the meeting, but I know they was going to get to the bottom of all the cases. And, my mother was kind of upset because they kept stressing the Michael Brown case. But at the end of it all, she said, you know what? He was younger than Eric. It was sad what happened to him. But there was other mothers there whose sons was brutally murdered by police officers. And she felt that they should have been recognized as well. But she took the pill, she swallowed it, and she let it go. She still joined in on everything that was going on. She was invited to Howard University. I have a cousin by the name of Raven Pritchett who's a student at Howard University. She just made the dean's list, and she's doing excellent. I mean, excellent. So a sorority family actually showed my mother a lot of love, and they had some young fellas that came out and told their stories about when they was younger, what happened to them, and where they are today, and how it made them who they are today. So it was a lot that she came back and talked about, but she really enjoyed herself. She got to see the president and also a young lady from Texas that's a congresswoman from Texas that she got to meet. And she said the lady, showed her, if I'm not mistaken, her first name is Lynette, but I don't know her last name.
Okay.
And she said the lady showed her a lot of love and a lot of support. She was invited to a reception dinner, and they discussed the matters at hand with Michael Brown and my brother Eric Garner. And she said that, if we need their help, they're here for us. And she had over 5,000 people that was there, and she got to meet a lot of nice people. So she was happy with her trip overall.
Are you planning to hold other rallies? And if so, could you provide dates and times for those interested in attending?
At this point in time, we don't have any rallies set up. Just every Tuesday and Thursday, we in Staten Island in front of the Federal Building on Bay Street. Basically, trying to get the feds to take the case and waiting for the grand jury to make their decision. So as far as rallies right now, no, we don't have any rallies set up. We're getting out a lot of letters, petitions, and, we're just trying to get people to sign the petitions online. My cousin is actually setting it up so we can get this out there to Washington and to other people that's big in politics, that we can get a lot of help with getting this officer arrested, and hopefully that it'll help. Help.
And is there a website, Eric Garner website or anything like that up now?
Not as yet. My cousin, she's still setting it up, but definitely when I get it, I'll definitely give it to you, and you can share it with your people, and we're just gonna all take it from there. I also have my professor, because I graduated from ASA College. I was a criminal justice major, and I have my degree in criminal justice. So I said, it's working out hand in hand, so I'll be able to use my studies as well to help out with this situation.
As you know, many in this country were enraged after George Zimmerman was acquitted in the killing of Trayvon Martin. When examining the level of outrage being expressed throughout the country over your brother's case and the killing of Michael Brown, it's becoming more and more evident that a black storm is brewing. If Officers Daniel Pantaleo and Darren Wilson are not charged or convicted, would you be willing to go on record and say it could have a dangerous and irreparable impact on police, community, and race relations in the United States?
I really can't answer that question because people will say one thing and do another. So people will say they'll be mad and they'll do this and do that, but I don't know what they would do. But as far as my family, what we're gonna do, we just still gonna fight for justice. We're gonna fight the best way that we can to see how else we can go around it and, get justice for Eric in a proper manner. We're not here to be violent towards anyone. We don't want to do what they did. We don't want to be like them. We want to be different. And with us being different and being better, we're stronger.
And for those proclaiming that justice is not rendered effectively and swiftly, they're going to act out in a violent way. They're going to...
And we don't want that because
Okay.
that's not what my family is all about. Eric wasn't a violent person. I mean, we understand where they come from. A lot of people are angry, and we appreciate their anger along with us. But at the same time, we feel that if we pull together in a better way and use that anger towards being out there and pushing for more of our rights, of doing things in a better way, I feel that we will win. We got to use that anger in a different perspective. We can't use violence because that's not the answer. Because that's how Eric died, violently. We don't want to use violence. We want to use our words. We want to use our knowledge. We want to use what we got to get what we want. You got to know the lingo in order to get to them.
Complete this sentence. Officer Daniel Pantaleo, on behalf of the entire Garner family, I say
I feel sorry for him and his family because his family got to suffer right along with us. I stated Officer Pantaleo reached out through one of the reporters to my mom, and sorry is just not going to fix anything. Doing the right thing will fix it. But at the same time, he got to think about what he put his family through. It's just like we lost Eric, they could lose him. So a lot of people, before they act, they got to think. You got to think before you act because remember, you're not by yourself. You have other people that you got to think about. You got to worry about who's going to suffer along with you. Some of them might feel, oh, he's going to get away with this and so on and so forth. Okay, maybe, maybe not. But God sees everything and God will fix it all. So, we've been a Christian family since before we was even here. And Eric been baptized. So at this point in time, they really don't know who they messed with.
again, I recognize that you and your family are still dealing with this tragedy and all that's occurred in its wake, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.